So here we can still rip into the shatter. And if anything, we're gaining life. So shatter off the top. Part of the cards. Come on, believe with me, team. Hey guys, Waifugate here. We're going to be going over another deck guide today. This time it'll be with 4-color Yorion Green. So we had a lot of fun on stream with this today. It's been a great deck so far. So let's go over like what the deck kind of wants to do. So we use typical ramp cards such as Growth Spiral and Uro, ramp into things like Tamiyo, Elspeth, Nissa, Casualties. This, like, probably the biggest ones are Casualty, Nissa, and Elspeths. Everything else is pretty much like your standard like Bant stuff. We're splashing in black, mostly splash, you know, quote unquote splash. We have quite a few cards, but it's an 80 card list. So we've got Thought Erasure and this Mythos as our main splash cards, and of course Casualties of War. So Mythos allows us of Nethroi is able to answer anything. You know, Planeswalker, enchantment, artifact, big creature, you know, you board wipe, they play a questing beast, bam. This also answers the big one is probably the Shark Typhoon token, so you can protect your planeswalkers. You know, sometimes they'll try to do that end of turn. Tamir Rack will try to hit your Teferi. You can simply just kill their Shark token, and then they're still playing at, you know, sorcery speed stuff. So that's the main thing. The other stuff, the other reason why we're running black is, of course, the sideboard. We'll get into the detail on this later, but Despark, Unmoored, and Thought Distortion all black. Just decent cards in the meta right now. We'll be covering that later, though. The other stuff to consider main deck. So this is not a budget-friendly deck. Just going to throw that out there. There's a lot of rares, especially in the lands, and most of the deck is just rares in general. Flooded with them. So apologize for that. Hopefully we can do some budget videos pretty soon. But here we go. So we've got 8 triomes, and these are able to all be fetched by Nissa because they're all forest. They're all tagged as forest. And we also can cycle these late game if we happen to get flooded. We also have 4 Fabled, of course, for Uro, and it's just sort of nice to be able to thin the deck or shuffle it when we need something like a Shatter the Sky like we saw at the beginning of the video. So that pretty much covers that for the most part. So good matchups, bad matchups, and even matchups. So I'd say good. Yorion, most versions of Yorion we can kind of outgreed. Now it's always going to be a coin flip to some extent because, you know, it's just whoever sees their most powerful cards. Standard right now almost boils down to, at least it feels like to me, to Solitaire, where you're both really playing very powerful cards until one person can kind of, you know, get over the top a little bit more than the opponent, and then it just sort of spirals out of control there. And Magic's sort of been like that for a minute, but it feels even more so now with the new standard. But hopefully, like, you know, some other lists come out, shake it up. If anything, you just got to play, you know, your favorite deck, your favorite cards, and just sort of accept the losses when you can't quite go over the top. But, you know, breaking aside from, like, you know, how I feel about the meta, Jeskai Yorion, just Yorion lists in general, we can typically beat them because we can check their hand to see what they're up to, and then we're able to blow up anything, like whether it be Elspeth Conquers Death, Nissa, any Planeswalker Teferi, and then we're able to, you know, even blow up even more with Casualties. We can take them off of fires if they're Yorion fires, etc. And we've got a really good sideboard for Yorion, which, you know, we'll get into later, but like on Morty Go and stuff on Agent usually beats those decks pretty well. So other matchups, Jeskai Fires, I would say we're kind of favored for that, especially game 1, since we can just Casualties. We've got Shatters, we've got Mythos. We just have a lot of good spot removal for them and good tempo with Teferi, like minusing their fires or whatever. It's never really great, but it's like decent enough. And Shark Typhoon puts in a bit of work in that matchup too, just being able to hit their Teferi or provide like a 10-10 Shark that just swings in over the heads of their Cavaliers after they swing out, you know? Very nice. Even matchups, I'd say Sakdos, Tamir, Wreck, and Cycle are the main ones that are pretty even. I would say that it's favored toward whoever wins game one, whoever gets the lucky hand, whether it be Saktos, Tamir, Wreck, or Cycle, because then going first on the third game makes a huge impact on those matchups. So that's pretty much that. We have a good sideboard against most of those decks anyway. I think our sideboard's pretty solid. Like, I don't ever find myself super like lost on what I should bring in or whatever else. Like, there always seems to be like a decent. And I would say the only like horrible matchup we have, like just probably like 30 70 or whatever, would be like Flash, just because it's just a hard matchup, man. Like, we have 80 cards. We're not going to run Disputes sideboard because I don't think that's worth it. I'd rather have something that's good throughout the whole game if we're going to have an 80 card pile, or something that can retroactively answer something that we could have countered with a dispute. And like Unmoored Ego doesn't hit Flash that hard. Like, vetoes only do so much when a lot of their creatures are the problem. Like, we just don't do a lot against that deck. So I'd say, like, give up Flash and be happy that you have a decent matchup against most other things, or at least it seems like that way to me so far. Getting into the sideboard portion of things, we dedicate most of it to Yorion Jeskai, Yorion list in general for the most part, but mainly Jeskai Yorion, with Unmoored Ego. So Unmoored Ego here is our biggest card versus Jeskai Yorion. It can get disputed, and usually I'm not a big fan of this card. I'll throw that out there right now. I usually hate this card. But during the stream, we ended up testing it a bit, thinking about it, and it just seems like a really good answer to Jeskai Yorion, because if you hit their Planeswalker, or not their Planeswalker, if you hit Agent with this after they're tapped out, or you Thought Erasure, they counter the Thought Erasure, they can't counter this. They don't really have a game plan. Their Luca no longer matters at all. Like, it's a do nothing card, 5 mana do nothing at that point. So it's just really, really nice to be able to shut that game plan off, because it's really frustrating, like, tiptoeing around that. The other big card is Thought Distortion here. This just checks for counter spells, gets rid of all counter spells in your opponent's hands. Makes it very hard to Uro, like, for your opponent, because everything's exiled from the graveyard as well as the hand. And it's just really nice. It gets rid of ECDs, etc. Like, a lot of their secondary game plans get ruined by this, and then you can kind of clear the way for a Unmoored Ego, etc. It's just not too bad. And even if they have an agent and they happen to resolve it, what's like, taking one thing probably doesn't ruin you at that point in the game. Usually you have enough resources that you can financially recover pretty easily. So I think I like this versus Tamir, Wreck, and against Yorion, and just in general, especially like Bant variations that don't really, they can win with Nissa, but like they have to have Nissa down. So like, if they're waiting to hold up the counter spells, all of that stuff, you probably makes sense. So, you just have to find the right timing with this. So Unmoored Ego is also good against Jeskai Cycle. All of these, like the direct sideboard guide for, like, you know, each matchup minus this, minus that, I'll have all of that in the featured deck list down below. There'll be a link. You just click on that, scroll past the pictures, and I do that for most of my decks. There'll just be a sideboard guide there, what you add and take out. And what that is supposed to do is give you a general idea of what I would sideboard first before I started to think about the rest of the cards that I could sideboard in or out. And that sort of makes it so I don't deers in the headlight and just kind of space out, and then the timer's there and then I'm panicking. I just want to avoid all of that. I want to have a game plan and then think about my sideboard. So if you're interested in that, link below. Yeah, I do that with most of my decks, on top of linking the guide like this one you'll find on that deck list too, etc. So hopefully that helps. Everything else is sort of just you know, almost common sense, but a lot of it's not. Like, there are some touchy things here and there that you might not think about. So Night of Autumn's mainly here for Saktos, since we need a cheaper answer to artifacts and such, and life gain. A lot of them sideboard out Claim the Firstborn as well, so it's just kind of nice. Like, it's pretty free. You get to block something usually and gain life, or block, blow up Oven, etc. It's not bad. D-Sparks, not very good against Saktos, but then Tulsa Mirror is just kind of nice. I would run more Tulsa Mirrors. Like, I'd probably run 2 or 3 in my sideboard and make room. But since I don't have them crafted, and I'm a little low on wild cards and stuff, You know, I'm just working with what I have. So maybe if you have more Tolsimir's, consider that. But other than that, like Knight of Autumn's really good against mono red as well, as even though that matchup's not as popular anymore. Like you don't really see it too often. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This versus Temur Reclamation, this versus Temur Reclamation sometimes. Unmoored Ego never against Temur Rec because they just expansion it and it feels terrible. Get your like ECDs removed or whatever. Or Teferis. worst. It's the blowout play for sure. But yeah, so that pretty much summarizes the sideboard, like I said, detailed guide. And we'll probably jump into the gameplay here in a minute and kind of go over that, and hopefully that helps you kind of paint a picture for the deck. But technically speaking, he had us dead. Because that's like one of those things where you wouldn't really mess it up IRL. You'd be like, you just declare what you want. So blue here can kind of get us there. I think I kind of keep this, even though we're a little shy on land. We just go blue for Omen and then get fixed up. We also get one of our Fabled Passages out of the way before Mayhem Devil hits, which is nice. They also went down one card on us. That's good. That's a good draw. We just grab blue here. Also, Pseudo sets us up for Thought Erasure later. It's probably going to be too late. Like, the Thought Erasure is probably going to be on like a late game Bosch bounce if we're allowed to. Yeah. Go blue here. I have a very slow hand versus Obosh, which is a little risky as always. But, you know, we'll just take it. Gotta play with the hand that we have. So we can conserve life total here, which is nice. So, Banner. This time, I don't think they're gonna mess it up. But this time, it's on black. Yep. You got there. Okay, so no more 1-drops. That's good to know. So that means they might have Mayhem Devil. I feel like I just need a land here, for the most part. There we go. So I could Uro here. No, I can Uro if I want to pay life. I feel like it's... Oh god, I didn't play my greens first. How bad is bouncing down? I think it's that bad, right? Takes them off of Obosh damage. Played the wrong land. I needed green to be able to blow this up. I needed to shock this in. You would bounce Whisper Squad. And they can still do that ability later anyway, but yeah. Probably not terrible. Well, I mean, it does in a way, because now if they Obosh, they don't get to deal with Teferi. They have to, like, Whisper Squad, and then they threaten to get Whisper Squad from the deck, which we don't care about. Getting cold enough that has justified me pulling out my penguin onesie to wear. Nice, dude. Fixer didn't happen. That's awesome. Oh. Now we really need the shatter. That's unfortunate. Crassus isn't really good enough right now. We kind of need, oh nice, another Rotting Stone. So unless they top Keck land here, kind of okay. I think we're pretty priced into blocking this Regisaur. Okay, Woe Strider, sure. Need Shatter, one time off the top. What can we do here? We can get a Yorion down to block. We can gain some life here. We could gain life and potentially draw into Shatter if we don't tap all of our white sources. We've got one Shatter on bottom actually. Let's crack this. Try to get that up toward the top. Yes. Is this a good deck to climb on for Mythic? I think it has a pretty good matchup against most decks for the most part. Like, it doesn't feel weak in any given match for the most part. So here we can still rip into the Shatter. And if anything, we're gaining life. So Shatter off the top. Part of the cards. Come on, believe with me, team. If you can do that, it's a good deck to climb with. You can do that. You're alright. Okay. We could do Yorion Thought Erasure. Might be a little safer than Euro. That might be, I think I like that a little bit. Yep. That'll allow us to play our Scry land as well, or our tap land. Go to the bottom. So what time was that on? Uptime? 4 hours. 4 hours. Artifact. Okay, they're all set. Yeah, I think he knows about the delay. I think he knows. Jig is up. The jig is up. That shatter was off the top, Conquerors, dude. I was like, So that was the game played and the deck guide overall, in general. So hopefully this was helpful in some way. You can kind of see how the deck performed against aggro overall. Feel like the matchup's not too bad, and I'll try to put out some more. Usually I don't do too many like follow-up videos on deck guides per se, but I do try to keep, if we play the deck often enough, I try to keep the sideboard guide updated on Aether Hub. So if there are any changes in the meta, we need to make adjustments by taking out, like, you know, a Knight of Autumn for something more relevant, like a Narset or something. Those are all options, and I will keep those open on the Aether Hub site, basically. And if you guys enjoyed the deck guides, there's a whole playlist of these. You know, maybe you can find something more to your flavor there. Overall, I just hope this was helpful. You can feel free to subscribe so you can get notifications in the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop by my stream, drop a comment below, whatever works for you. All the links will be right below the video. So thanks again for chilling out, and I'll see you guys next time.